Okay, the first thing you want to do for OpenOffice is click the icon after you install it. And you want to go ahead and select Database. At this point, you want to go ahead and create a new database. Hit the Next button. Do you want the wizard to register the database in OpenOffice? You have the defaults. You can leave those. It'll be fine. Just hit Finish. At this point, you can go ahead and name your database. I'll just put down Tests, and you'll see it'll save it. Click the Save button. And now we have our new database, and it's creating and doing everything in the background. You see it up here at the top, still spinning around there. It'll take you a few minutes possibly for the database to create. In this case, it was saved on a desktop. There's my test, and here's a temporary file, and it should open up to this, but be patient because it spent around for a minute, so I paused the video so that you didn't have to watch it. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and create a table in the design view, and you can enter your field names here. And you can also change your data types, and there's different data types that you have to use. Just go ahead and make sure that you fill out that information correctly. And here's your description field. You could put this as the first name of the contact person for the company. And then we'll just put birth date down there. Select the data type. Here's date. And you can select it. Is the entity required? Here's your yes, no. This case, we're not going to put any entities up there and say that it's required. And you would just keep going till you get to the end of them and specify all of them. And if you want to put in a primary key, you're going to go ahead and you can actually see the primary key was a left mouse click, and they'll give you a list of options. You could cut, you could copy, you can delete, you can insert a row, or you can specify it as a primary key. And I can set it as a primary key. Again, left click. I can turn that off if I want to. I can take this row that I created, left click and delete it. I can also left click and insert more rows. So that's the way you would do it. Make sure that you specify your data types. You also have your length here. If I want the first name to only be 25 characters, I would go ahead and specify that. If I wanted a default value, in this case I'm not going to set one, because sometimes when you have databases that can be very annoying if you have a default value, because you have to always go in and change it. But I can put first name is Jane. And so every time I create a new record, it will have the first name Jane, but I won't do that. I'll take this off. And you just keep going until you get to the end. I'll put in a couple more, and then we'll come back and show you some more information. Okay, when you get through typing in all the information that you need on all the different fields that's specified, you want to go ahead and File, Save. And at this point, it'll give you the table name. In this case, I'm going to make up a name and say vendor table. Make sure that you use the name that's specified on the actual sheet that you provided. Hit OK, and it should save it for you. And you can close this down now. And you'll see the vendor table down here. I don't have any queries. I don't have any forms. I can go ahead and create the forms if I want now. And the way you create forms is probably best to use a form wizard. Go ahead and specify, click that button. Again, we have a little pause break there, so while my system is processing. and you could specify the table you want. We only have one table, so this is the vendor table. I can specify the fields that I want to show on the table. If I want a single field, I use one arrow. Again, I can pass them all back. I can use double arrows and pass it all over at once. Go to the next button. If I want to set up a subfield, a subform, you can do that. In this case, I won't do it. And that allows you to have the one-to-many relationships, like classes can have multiple students enrolled. And then hit the next button. You can perform your layout with the labels on the top, the labels to the side, the columnar, and then this is in the block with the list above. And you'll see on the side there is showing you a little preview of it. Try to move it around. This will be more like an Excel spreadsheet. You don't want to use that when you create a form, because when the user enters the information, it's easy for them to make mistakes. So you want to try to make it a little easier for them. Here is labels on top, and we can do the labels on the side like this. So I'll pick this one. I can click the next button. It's going to let you do the data entry, and in this case will be, this form is to be used for entering new data only, or this form is to be used for any data, and we'll just leave it as the default. Apply styles. You can actually pick your color and you see it changing in the background. I have a 3D, I have a flat look, and I can specify no border. I can take the borders off, put the borders back on. Give you the 3D look again. We'll do bright blue. And then the name of the form, you can type it in here, and we'll say vendor form. Again, make sure that you specify and use the name that is set for in the requirements. Hit the finish button. And now there's my form there. I can enter my records. We'll put Jane Doe. You see the record go there. You can hit a new one. Error writing. You got to put the vendor database. 1. Should have did an auto set, but 2. We'll go back and fix that so I can show you how to fix them. Okay, so with the form, I actually entered some more information. You see there's my records there. I can increment through. I can delete records. I can insert new records. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to tables and do a left mouse click. You'll see edit. And I'm going to change its vendor ID to integer. And then auto value should be yes. And then that will give you the increment where it will actually put in a number for you. And we're going to go ahead and save that. Close it out. So now we have our table, we have our form, and we can continue from here. Okay, now you want to make a report, so you just go back to the main and select it. Just use a wizard would be your best bet. It pops up. At this point, it'll allow you to select the fields that you want. Again, you can use a single arrow to go across at one, or you can send one back and it puts them back in order. You can send them all over. We'll just send them all over because we only have 3 fields. And then you can change your labels if you want. Name them anything you want. I'll say vendor key in this case, just to show you first name, contact. And then you can do groupings. We won't do any groupings in this case, but you can group, say if you wanted to do all by the same organization name, and you can group them by organizations. You can group them by last name. If you have multiples with the same last name, we'll go to the next button. This is where you do any sorting. I'm going to sort by the last name, and in ascending order. That would go from A to Z. Descending would go from Z to A. And you can do my multiple fields if you would like. and then hit the next button. And at this point it'll allow you to change your default and select what you want to pick. And we can get the different types: flip charts, bubbles, so forth. Cinema. Hit the next button. And we'll do a dynamic report. If it's static, the data, you would run it one time, you're done with it. Dynamic, if you change the data, you can also recreate your report. So we'll do dynamic. Hit the finish button. And it'll take a little minute there. And there's my little cinema that I selected. Here's the author's name. I don't have any name in my database. The title. Here's your vendor key. Remember, I changed the name of it. It does not have it sorted by the order again, because remember we did the sort on the last name. And you can also control the order of your data. So if I wanted the last name before the first name, I can also do that as well. And when you get done with it, it should have it saved for you. But if not, just to make sure, we can save it. We can export it as a PDF. We can exit out of here, and we'll just close this button, and you'll see here's my vendor table. You can do left mouse click, and I can go and edit any piece of information I want on it to get you back to here. I can put a title in here and say vendor report, since I didn't have one specified. And put a title in here if I want, because I didn't have a one set on the field. Here's your title, and we don't have anything there. And we'll cancel that for right now. It'll ask you, do you want to save the changes? I can say yes. And that's your report there. And then now we have to show you how to do these layers.